those who seek the Lord shall not lack any good thing.
One of the earliest examples of Irish calligraphy are some psalms that are written on a set of wax tablets that were discovered in a bog. The style of writing that Columba used is nowadays referred to as the insular style, and it's a handwriting style that developed in the islands, Ireland, England and Scotland. It was quite well developed by 600, as can be seen in the Codex. The Codex is the earliest surviving insular manuscript, and it's a book of psalms. It was further refined and perfected in the Book of Durrow 100 years later, and then it reached its perfection in the Book of Kells.
The Book of Kells, which probably dates from around 800, is a glorious culmination of a whole series of manuscripts. It was created 100 years or so later than the Book of Durrow, which is the first fully illustrated insular gospel book to have survived. Between these two came the more intricate and ornately illuminated Book of Lindisfarne of around the early 8th century. In turn, the style of this exquisite book was further refined in the great Book of Kells.
And the interesting thing is that all of these manuscripts are associated with St. Columba or with monasteries which he or his own monks founded.
The grandeur and the elaboration of the Book of Kells suggests again that it is a major effort made to celebrate a great saint who is obviously going to be St. Columba.
I have no difficulty at all in locating the scriptorium that produced the Book of Kells in Iona.
The Book of Kells can be all things to all men and women. One of the great problems in approaching it is that it's a veritable encyclopedia of the early medieval world. It takes all of the varied influences of the Mediterranean world, of the northwestern parts of Europe, the various cultures represented there, and subjects them to the mystic mill of its own vision. One way of deconstructing the work and actually standing back a step from it, however, is to look at some things that are more tangentially related to it. Works produced in southern England at the time, things produced in contemporary Gaul, and to see how they approach the different issues of legibility and of conveying thought in terms of image. The volume that we see in front of us here is a good way of actually beginning that process. It's called the Vespasian Psalter. It was produced in Canterbury, we think, around about the 720s to 30s, and a good place to start, because what we see here is the beginnings of the response of the insular world to the whole context of early Christian book production. Within the Roman world, it had been considered somewhat naive to require illustration or decoration for your works. If we look at the decoration of the architecture, you can see Latin spiral work here, very much from the Celtic metalwork tradition. You can see animal ornament derived from Germanic pagan metalwork. You can see bits of Byzantine blossom stuck in for good measure to show just how cosmopolitan they are in their cultural references. All of these sort of ingredients that we're going to get within Kells are there, but they're separated out far more approachably. We've got the earliest example here of an historiated initial, an initial which contains something that illustrates the text. And this, if you like, is the ultimate response in the Northwest to that mutual validation of word and image. The closer you can get them to work together and integrate, the more they validate one another. Kells is the ultimate representation of that phenomenon. If you move from something restrained of this sort to something like the incredible Cairo page of the Book of Kells, you've elevated the word itself into the status of a cultural icon. It is literally the Word made flesh.
Another way in which the layout of the Gospel text and its decoration offers a parallel to the way in which commentators thought about the text of the Gospel itself is John's opening account of Christ as the creator of the universe, and the reconciliation of Matthew's account of Christ's birth as a man. His opening words are the book of the generation of Jesus Christ, and we here see just the first two words, L-I B and ER, Liber for book. The second word, generationis, is concealed in this block here. It is difficult to discern these words. You only see them if you already know what you are looking for. This is not a visual aid for the illiterate at all. This is a coded text for the initiated. And we're looking here at the opening of Mark's Gospel. And concealed within this decoration is the letter I, and the first leg of the capital letter N. We're tracing out the word initium, the beginning, so we have I, N, the upright of the N, and then the next letter I. And now we have to search. Even knowing what we're searching for, we have to look to find the rest of the word. Part of it is concealed here, T. The I has been swung round. We're now looking for U and M, shown in this characteristic insular way, the three vertical strokes with the bars across them. So we have the word for the beginning. And gradually we discern in it other letters, the E and the U for the letter V, an A tilted on one side and sharing a leg of this letter N, and then E and a very un-Latin looking G, and L and double I, I-H-U, then the abbreviation of the name of Jesus. And then finally, in the last turn, as it were, of the labyrinthine margin, we have his title, Christ, the Messiah, the Anointed One, the smallest of all. As you look into the decoration, you see that it is teeming with life, with figures. There are angels and a moth, creatures of the air of the heavens. Down here, the famous little vignette of the cats and mice, creatures of the earth. And here the black otter with a fish, possibly a salmon, in its jaws, creatures of water. They are referring to the whole of creation, to the way in which the Creator is made known to those who search, who look for its hidden clues.
The Book of Kells was the work of three main artists. The French art historian François Hongrie called the artist of the Cairo page the goldsmith, not only for his use of yellow, but also for the fine detail of his work, which was reminiscent of metalwork. The goldsmith was also responsible for the 8-circle cross page. The illustrator is the name she gave to the artist who executed the Temptation page, and the page normally identified as the Arrest of Christ. Additionally, there is the portrait painter, as she called him, who was responsible for the depiction of the Virgin and Child. In contrast to the personalities that François Hongrie gave the artists, she simply termed the scribes A, B and C, to which I am inclined to add a fourth scribe, D. Scribe A was a sober and conservative scribe who concentrated entirely on script. On the other hand, Scribe B was a flamboyant personality who clearly enjoyed using different coloured inks. Scribe C integrated his script closely into the decoration. Scribe D I regard as the most accomplished of all. In some places, I have the impression that he was responsible both for decoration as well as script.
There were various types of inks used in writing manuscripts. The most